Okay, good afternoon. I'm Shannon. Today we're going to make, I'm kind of more in a natural mood, so we're going to try an almond soap today. And I'm going to do something I've never done before. I've got my 18 bar mold, and it just makes a shape of soap that is not consistent with the rest of my soaps. And I want to try kind of a full funnel swirl today. So I want to use this mold to do that. But I'm actually tomorrow we're going to cut this in a little bit different way so that I'm going to make more of a traditional bar out of here versus using the dividers that come with the mold. And while I'm doing this, one of the most frustrating things for beginners is learning how to line these things. It turns into this Charlie Brown wrestling match every single time. And there are a couple of really good videos on YouTube as to how to do it. So I'm just going to show you today as part of it. I've got my piece of paper, freezer paper, shiny side up. I pulled it out enough that I'm going to go down both sides. I'm going to get it even on both sides. That was one of the things in the beginning that frustrated me. I had tons of extra. So it's pretty even. Okay, I'm going to hold it down with my arms because it moves like crazy. I'm just going to run my thumbs along here to make the measurement, making sure that I hold it as still as possible and get it as sharp as possible, because in there it moved a little bit, which is going to make it awkward. So I'm going to hold it back down again. I got it back to where it needs to be, and I'm going to run my fingers around here again and try and get it nice and tight. What happens is if it gets loose, if it gets crooked, then you're going to have kinks in the edge of your soaps and it'll drive you nuts. If you get this portion right, you'll have a nice clean edge on all your soaps. It'll go in easy. They won't be wrinkling up all over the place and driving you nuts. Okay, so we've got our fold. Okay, so this is the bottom of our soap mold. I found the easiest way is to bring it back to the edge with your shiny side down now, because you're folding it that direction, and that helps you keep it straight. You just run it across that fold and keep it going.
With your shiny side down?
Shiny side down. Now you can see here, I'm not exactly even. I'm not going to worry about that. It's never going to be perfect. I'm going to get my lines straight and hope that it's right. I could just fold it down like this and go, but then a lot of times I would try to figure out, even though we just run one finger across it, I'd get confused as to which of the two was which, and just found that it's just easier for me most of the time to fold it over that edge to get it started. We're going to make these nice and sharp. And this is one of those instances where you can see, I look at it and I think, now which one of these lines is it? Remember, that's where I got crooked, so I'm going up that one that I made a little bit deeper. And I'm having trouble finding it, so I'm going back to my mold. And I'm just going to line my stuff up correctly and fold. Okay. Alright, so we've got our folds. Now we're just going to make it a little easier on ourselves. We're going to cut, let's see, maybe, yeah, this way. I don't think it really matters. It's in the long mold. I always do it the same way. I cut on the long side. So I'm just going to stick with that theme. Cut it all the way to where you folded it. Just that one fold. Okay. Now we can fold up our edges. We'll still have a little bit of a Charlie Brown wrestling match, but we'll get it in there. If you did it right, it'll pop right in there, nice and smooth. Okay, and I got pretty lucky on this one. It's pretty good. Okay, so we got a bunch of junk up here, so we're just going to trim our edges. And this is where I discovered why the tape was out in the living room, because my kid ran off with it because she tapes everything, but luckily I've got an extra here. We're just going to fold these down now. I have found that if I pull this too tight, I pull the bottom up, and then I end up with a curved edge on my soaps. Not that big a deal, but it drives me nuts. So I try to make sure I hold my edges down on the bottom, on the inside here. Maybe Mike can come over here and see what I'm talking about. Put the camera down here. So if I hold my hand down here while I'm folding this, so this isn't coming up. Okay, you want a nice tight edge. That's going to give you your nice squared off bars. So same thing here. I'm just going to get my edges down. I'm going to hold them in tight. See how we're trying to wrinkle here, or I didn't get it just 100%. And that's all right, you know. You don't often hear me say it doesn't have to be perfect, but in this case it really doesn't. This floppy end here is just in my way. I'm just going to trim it off. Doing the same thing. I'm holding my ends down here while I pull this tight because it was pulling up while I was doing it. Same thing, chop this floppy edge off. Somebody pasted on Facebook today something about words we need to use more, and one of the words that was in there was superfluous. So that little piece is superfluous. Get rid of it. And there you go. Didn't take hardly any time at all. We're ready to rock out this next batch of soap.